Perhaps you've heard of the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia?
They'll kill you 5 times before you hit the ground.
Ah, indeed. Yakuza. This series is an odd beast. In the years since, it's become one of Sega's flagship franchises. The series originated from creator Toshiro Nagasho's desire to show the life of a Yakuza. He initially struggled to find a platform until Sony agreed to support it. Inspired by Yakuza films, the series is a crime drama. The setting is the mostly fictional area of Komurocho, which is based on real-life Kabukicho, an actual red-light district of Tokyo. We have 8 main games of Yakuza to cover, and 0 to 6 cover the saga of Kazuma Kiryu. Who is he? Well, we'll get into that. There was the PlayStation 2 original of Yakuza, and the remake Yakuza Kiwami, which was released 10 years later for the 10th anniversary of the series. We will mostly be looking at the latter version as far as cutscenes go, as this one brought in some improvements of the later games. Our saga begins in 1995. 1995, that was quite the year. That was the year the Dragon Ball manga ended. Batman the Animated Series aired its final episodes, until it was uncancelled. The Houston Rockets won the NBA championship. I was 7 years old at the time. In Japan, a man named Kiryu is living happily with his closest friends. Akira Nishikiyama, called Nishike to his closest friends, and Yumi, who he clearly has a crush on. After collecting some money with his friend Shinji, Kiryu heads to Serene, his favorite bar to relax. Along the way, he encounters girl Majima, who refers to Kiryu as Kiryu-chan. He takes an interest in Kiryu. Badass. So it seems all is going well, but the Dojima patriarch kidnaps Yumi. Kiryu arrives only to find that Nishike has murdered him because he tried to rape Yumi. For the sake of his friend and to save Nishike's sister, Kiryu takes the fall and thus is sent to prison for 10 years, while everyone he knows and loves disappears. 10 years later, in 2005, Kiryu is released from prison, spending 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Kiryu finds the world has changed. But when 10 billion yen is stolen from the Tojo clan, Kiryu finds himself thrown back into the criminal underworld, and along the way he meets a little girl named Haruka, who may provide some answers. But Kiryu must watch out. The entire Yakuza is after him, including Nishike, his former brother-in-arms. All that points to this being one hell of a ride. So what makes a story good? Well, let's talk about its characters, shall we? Kiryu, our lead, is an honor-bound dreamer of the Yakuza world. After taking the fall for a crime he didn't commit, Kiryu does take the time to help others if he can. This is seen in gameplay whenever Kiryu stops to help a victim, or most notably when he stops to help a puppy. But with Haruko around, Kiryu begins to develop a surrogate father relationship to her. Kiryu undergoes a lot of loss in this game, but he manages to retain an idealistic look upon the world. We'll come back to him. We've got some other characters to talk about. Nishike, Kiryu's former brother-in-arms, is given a lot more screen time in the Kiwami remake, as we get to see just what he was up to during the 10 years Kiryu was in prison. We see that he is always regarded as second best to Kiryu, and this fact eats him alive inside. And we see traces of his hot temper in contrast to Kiryu's cool-headedness when he murders the Dojima patriarch, which has dire consequences. Eventually, he seems to have a desire to make things right, but as support for his sister wanes and she needs a vital surgery, Nishike finally lashes out and kills Matsuhage. He comes to the conclusion that he will never be redeemed, and now nothing will stop him from reaching the top. And he becomes incredibly cold-hearted and ruthless as shown when he and Kiryu meet at the bar. He makes for a fantastic foil to Kiryu. Haruka is our duo-antagonist. Her main role is to humanize Kiryu. She wants to find her mother, she assumes Yumi is her aunt, but unfortunately, as she is close to Kiryu, this makes her a prime target for his rivals to lure him out. Her faith in Kiryu is tested when he tells her her mother is dead.
私にはお母さんしかいないの。おじさんが勝手にするって言うなら、私もそうする。さよなら。
But ultimately she comes to love Kiryu as her father figure because her actual father is... oh boy, we'll get to him. Kiryu has one defender in the police, Date. Date doesn't believe Kiryu was the one who committed the murder, and thus is Kiryu's biggest supporter. But he's not a perfect man as he is estranged from his own daughter, Saya. But eventually Date is able to reconcile with his daughter, as he proves that he is really the one who cares for her. He faces some kickback in the Japan police force, but ultimately he sacrifices his career to let Kiryu go. Or so it appears. I like Date. He's reasonable, not without flaws, but a good guy all around. Goro Majima, this guy he's interesting. He's pretty much the rival to Kiryu, and all he cares about is getting into a fight with him. It's very much the only one allowed to defeat you, as seen when he blocks a knife attack. Yeah, everyone's superhuman in these games. In the original game, he's characterized as an axe-crazy brute, but the Kiwami remake carries over his characterization from later games that have more of a jerk with a heart of gold. Always calls Kiryu Kiryu-chan, and the remake adds a function where he will pop up everywhere you go, and I do mean everywhere, even in places you'd least expect. There's an attempt to reconcile the two portrayals, but it's a little messy at times. Characterization marches on, I suppose. In the English dub of 1, he was voiced by Mark Hamill, who claims he doesn't even remember voicing him. Go figure. Kiryu has friends like Shinji and Rina, but it turns out Rina is actually secretly helping Nishike because she still loves the man. She tries to redeem herself, but unfortunately both are killed in the attempt, and it's the first of many losses for Kiryu.
Shinji. Shinji.
There's Law Ka Long, who is mentioned to be the one who tortured Kiryu in the past. It reminds me of the torture scene from Metal Gear Solid 3. In fact, that predates this one by a year or so. He's the one who has Haruka captured, and the fight Kiryu and Long have is one to remember. There's Majima's boss, Shimamo. His first scene characterizes him quite well. Yeah, he blames Kiryu for the Dojima's murder and actively seeks to get revenge on him. He's not really seen much, and he's not the cumulative final boss, but when he and Kiryu finally meet, he has a whole Yakuza gang with him. But Kiryu has help in the form of cavalry. Not quite as good as on your left, but good enough. And he tries to take Haruka down with him, which leads us to our next character. Shintaro Kazuma is Kiryu, Nishike, and Yumi's father figure. He is not exactly good as he is still Yakuza. It's implied that he wanted his adopted kids to have better lives. He is the one who has the truth between Yumi and the 10 billion yen. In the end, he sacrifices his own life to save Haruka, admitting to Kiryu that he was the one who killed his real parents, but Kiryu was okay with that because he saw him as his real father. Amazingly. The theme of the game is running away from your problems and refusing to face them head on. Many of the main characters make choices to avoid facing problems. For Kiryu, taking the blame for a crime he didn't commit had dire consequences, and realizes it just wasn't worth it. Nishike is convinced that by killing and getting to the top of the Yakuza clans and the 10 billion yen will solve all of his problems, and allow him to get everything he's always wanted. But you can't run away from your problems forever. Sooner or later, you gotta face them. So overall, I like this story. The characters are compelling and likable and serve their roles nicely. The graphics and character models have all been upgraded significantly for Kiwami. There was an HD remaster of the original game released for the PlayStation 3 and Wii U, but unfortunately was only released in Japan, for some reason. Maybe that means Kiryu could get into Smash. I mean, why not? I'd love to see more Sega representation in Smash. And then we got 3 characters already, Sonic, Bayonetta, and Joker, but one more couldn't hurt. The original English dub, they actually got some pretty big name actors to dub, like the aforementioned Mark Hamill, and Bill Farmer as Date. Strange, his natural voice is quite different from Goofy. But unfortunately, at times, the English dub plays out like a dub of an old Japanese film. The inflections are wrong, and really the authentic way to experience Yakuza is through the Japanese dub. Yakuza is an open sandbox. You're limited to a specific area of Japan where you can walk around to see people go about their daily lives. Back in 2005, I was still in high school, so I didn't get to experience this much. There are plenty of townspeople going on about their lives, so the city is very packed and there's a lot to do. But first, let's go over the combat. In the original game, the way it worked is that Kiro had quick and heavy attacks, and when his gauge was full, he could unleash a heat attack. Kiwami takes this idea and expands it by giving him more than 100 different heat moves that he can pull off. My personal favorite has got to be this one. That had to hurt. In addition to that, in Kiwami, Kiro has access to 4 different styles: Brawler, Rush, Beast, and Dragon. Each has their own benefits, but the Dragon style takes the longest to level up. The Brawler style plays most like the original game. The Rush style is good for getting in quick blows in and out. The Beast style, Kiro will automatically pick up an object and slam them into the enemy. And the Dragon style is Kiro truly awakened. You can have multiple enemies coming at you. Fortunately, the game takes this into account and gives Kiro plenty of attack options. You can grab your enemies, but the higher skilled they are, the more easily they will break out of it, so I only recommend doing it when they are proving evasive. In addition to the main quest, there are lots of side quests for you to uncover in both versions. I'm not going to go too deep into any of them because it just makes this video unnecessarily long, but one particular annoyance I have with the original version is that certain side quests can be missed permanently if you don't do them in the right chapter, and the game gives no warning about that. So if you're trying to go for 100%, you could get fatally screwed. Once I missed one, I decided not to do any more side quests. Fortunately, Kiwami fixes this issue. Right now, as for what you can do when you're not getting into street fights with Yakuza, gang members, or drug dealers, let's go over some of them, shall we? Something I took the time to do in both versions was to fight at the Coliseum, which is much easier in the PS2 version. It's not exactly much, but the tournaments do give good yen and offer various prizes for you to get. You also have to do this in order to unlock some movesets for the Dragon style. There's also an assortment of mini-games you can play, such as darts, pool, and bowling, which are time wasters if nothing else. Of course, there's the nightlife that Kiro can enjoy, such as Japanese strip clubs, hostess bars where you can charm a girl, and if you're successful enough... Okay then, that's great. Sometimes you'll have Haruka accompanying you, and one thing I like doing with them was going to play karaoke with them. It just gives so much warmth and allows the two to bond. Kiro's a very good singer, all things considered. To regain health, you can always eat at a restaurant, which I find a very good pastime to do. Can't wait to be able to do that again when the pandemic is over. There's also this Music King card game. I know these kinds of things are huge over in Japan. Basically, Japanese women cosplay as insects and fight against each other using wrestling moves. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a real game like this. It works a lot like rock, paper, scissors. You can also do some gambling, which I haven't been very good at, largely because I don't really understand gambling. But what I really fall in love with in the remake was pocket racing. Yes, toy cars racing as a serious sport. This makes me want to go to Japan. It seems they have so much better things to do than we do here in the US. I was able to master it in time, just don't go flying off the track. Kiro won't take it well. I love that! It's like the world just ended. What the remake adds to the original is the Majima everywhere, where he will show up everywhere you go, and it's recommended you do this as it allows Kiro to get back his fighting techniques. The first time you fight him, Kiro is completely out of it and loses easily, so Majima wants to see him get his fighting finesse back. One time he showed up when I was dating a hostess, and oh god, this is... what a nut job. But that's why he's so endearing, I suppose. Sometimes he'll force his way into a fight, and sometimes he would seriously wear out his welcome. Like, I'm on my way to the next mission, and I get all my health back up, and there he is, and I have a brutal fight on my hands, and he gets more health as you beat him more and more. What makes matters worse is that if Kiro is near death in the remake, he will pathetically limp, and you'll be unable to move very much until you eat. Well, I'm getting off topic, back to Majima. He makes it his mission to stalk you wherever Kiro goes. But after so many hours trying and waiting, I triggered the final showdown with him in the batting cage. This fight he really goes all out, so he's actually trying to kill Kiro. But fortunately, you should have your items all maxed out and have plenty of healing tokens. I was able to beat him pretty handily, with luck landing the final blow. I love how dramatic it is whenever you knock someone out. So Majima accepts that Kiro is different, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Fair enough. I was actually able to unlock the secret boss, Joe Ahman. He has more life bars than any other boss in the game, and he has one attack that will cut you down if you're not careful. But it's here I learned the value of the Tiger Drop. You can do massive damage if you pull off this attack, and once I figured that out, no one stood a chance ever again. I'm going to assume this character and the Yakuza's wife that I encountered earlier are going to be important down the road. Guess I'll find out. I mean, I'm not too worried about spoilers considering how long this series has been going on, so it's time we cover the ending. Big spoiler territory now. So Kiryu and Haruka head out to Millennium Tower, but a bunch of thugs are there to claim Kiryu's head. And he defeats them all. That solidifies Kiryu as a badass. Upon reaching the tower, more goons come at Kiryu, but he's in no mood to take their crap. I love how these guys bring guns to fight, but everyone shrugs off getting shot. How are you not dead? Date and Sato head to arrest Jinjo, and at long last Kiryu and Haruka reunite with Yumi, who as it turns out was Misako all along.
Haruka. お母さん。お母さんなんだよね。Haruka! ごめんね。
But unfortunately, happy endings are not that simple. Jingo arrives by helicopter, and we see Haruka's father for the monster he really is. He has no compassion, no empathy for another person. He even sees Yumi and his own daughter as tools to be disposed of. But fortunately, Yumi came prepared, so that if Jinjo kills her, he'll kill them all. All that's left is for Kiryu to set things right. From there, getting to Jinjo is pretty simple. The only thing that makes the boss battle particularly annoying is his henchmen who just do not want to stay down. Once you do get them down, beating Jinjo is easy enough, but one last battle awaits for Kiryu. Nishike shows up to claim the 10 billion yen. Finally, all that drama is coming to a head. The two former brothers must finally fight each other. What really makes this fight stand out is the music in the Kiwami version. It's punctuated by flashbacks during the fight that make it so much more emotional. It's here that I found that I was really motivated to fight like Kiryu. At the beginning I had to resort to temporarily switching to easy to win some harder boss fights, but I wasn't going to do that here. I was going to prove my worth. Every blow feels powerful. You don't want to fight, but you have to. Heat actions feel so cinematic during this fight. So the fight is over and it seems everyone can go home and be happy, but Jinjo makes one last attempt to kill everyone.
Haruka! Yumi! Yumi.
Couldn't have a happy ending, I guess. Jinjo attempts to finally kill Kiryu, but Nishike decides to redeem himself.
Nishiki!
Sadly, Yumi's wounds are too severe and she dies in Kiryu's arms.
逃げちゃダメ。
Kiryu has lost everything and is willing to go back to jail, but Date points out he still has Haruka, and that's more than enough of a reason to live. So Yakuza is a great game. Sadly slept on due to its low sales in the US, but it gained enough of a following so the sequels were greenlit. Yakuza definitely established a foundation. The characters were likable and intriguing, and the world was fascinating as well. The game is a good beginning, and I say beginning because Kazuma Kiryu's saga has just begun. Next time we'll be covering Yakuza 2 along with its remake, Yakuza Kiwami 2.
ねえ、おじさんは何歳までサンタさん信じてた？
え？いや、いくつだっけな。
信じてたんだ。
悪かったな。
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit that bell, like, and subscribe button. If you want updates, follow me on Twitter or join my Discord, which are provided in the description below. See you next time.